Okay, guys, I got a couple of stories for you guys for the month of October, Halloween, right? So, growing up, have a actual about a six friends that I actually keep in contact with. We travel together. If there's a special event or something special, we'll head out. We can tolerate each other for a couple of days. And this particular friend that I'm talking about, I've known him since I was probably in the second grade, and I just saw him last week at a wedding, so we still keep in touch. So his dad uh, built a house from the ground up, along with five actual apartments, rentals, and his dad was very, very good architect and construction worker. He knew it all. But at the same time, his dad did a couple. His dad actually did a few bad things, very, very bad things. And and with time, he got sick. He ended up dying of actual cancer. I forget what kind of cancer, probably colon cancer maybe. And what his brother described to me was at his deathbed, he was screaming that he did not want to go. He was fighting his death because he knew what was coming. He knew what was coming. It wasn't going to be good. It was all bad where he was going. That's the only way I can describe it the way he told me. So years passed by, couple years passed by, and like I said, his dad built that house from scratch up, but he made it to where he could get to the plumbing very easily, you know, to where if he needed access to any kind of actual sewage pipe, it was a two-story house that he built, and he had built a little access panel, like a little door on the wall by the bathrooms, to where if something wrong with the plumbing, he could actually access it through the actual wall. Just open up the door, and the actual pipes are right there on the upstairs by the bathroom, right? So it was a regular week. There was a regular weekday. It was about in the morning, and a maintenance guy, a couple of buildings down, apartment buildings. He was doing some maintenance in the roof, some sort of maintenance in the roof, and he witnessed smoke coming out of the actual my friend's house. After he passed away, my friend inherited the house, so everybody was away at work. He called it in to the fire department. The fire department was able to actually save the house. It had some extensive damage, smoke damage and water damage, because the firefighters, they actually did a good job. They actually fought it. Um, it was actually it was very, very, very well managed, that fire. And so they were able to save the actual structure, but it had some major water damage, flood damage, and after the investigation, uh, it was actually uh, reported. It was actually revealed that the fire started where that access panel, that actual door for the plumbing, that's where it actually started. But there was nothing electrical there. But they ended up saying it was electrical, but there was no electrical in that area. It was just plumbing. So that was kind of weird in itself. And so when the insurance company, they call I think it was Service Pros, a company that actually repairs damaged flooding, any kind of actual restoration, emergency restoration. They'll get there at any hour. They'll get to an actual place, and they'll start working it at that point and make sure it's secure, make sure it's safe. They board it up or whatever they need it. They'll take care of it. It's an emergency service. So They get there and they start working on it. It's been a couple of days, and of course, my friend stops by every day after work because he's living in an actual rental house somewhere in the city, a city in the next city to where he lives, right? So he stops by after work to see what the progress is, see if anything new and everything. And he gets there one day, and he's greeted by the actual one of the foremans, and his foreman's kind of bummed out, and doesn't know how to explain to my friend that they didn't realize that there was an actual dog in the actual property, and the dog got away, and they can't find the dog. So my friend says, "Well, what type of dog was it?" And they described it. He goes, it was full size German Shepherd." They described the color, they described the actual size, the features of his actual German Shepherd. And my friend goes, "That dog hasn't been here in a couple of years. That dog's been dead." And so by now, a couple of the construction workers, they gather around, the conversation, and they all stated that while they were working in the actual house, he walked right through the actual construction, the demolition, because they're demolition the house, so the water damage. And so they said that the actual dog walked right in between everybody, and they were actually startled because German Shepherd's a German Shepherd, and they're gonna actually protect their house. But this dog just walked nonchalant, just walked right in between everybody and out the back door. Well, nobody realizing that the gates were open, so now they think that the actual dog got away, and they feel bad because they let the owner's dog get away, and they can't find him. But my friend told me, hey, that dog's been dead for a couple of years, now. So I don't know if it was the same night or the same evening or the next evening I stopped by, and a neighbor of ours, she gets my attention, so I go over there and I say what's up, and I thought she wants to know something about the actual fire, whatever. And she's like, "Hey, tell your tell your friend that his dog came through my house today. Like he owned the place." And I looked at her. I said, "What dog?" And she described the German Shepherd. And I looked at her and said, "Well, no, she hadn't told me. She hadn't told me." And I said, "Well, why do you keep your front door open?" And she stayed quiet. She's like, "My front door hasn't been open because they're accustomed to using the back door." But she said that the dog came in through the front living room, but she never saw it come through the front door. She saw it come from the living room through the kitchen, through the dining room to the kitchen, and out the back door. So she said she never saw the dog walk into the house, just the actual walking through and out the back door. And she said, "I my front door never opened." And I go, "Well, how did the dog get into your house?" "I don't know." Like, "What kind of dog was it?" And that's when she told me it was the German Shepherd. And I said, "Man, that dog's been dead for years." And she saw the dog too. So a few months passed by. The repairs are done, and my actual cousin referred a couple of her coworkers to rent an apartment at my friend's property. And this couple, it's a female, they were a couple of females, and they actually enjoyed there because just the actual it was a cool place to party. It's a cool place to party, and at the same time they had the actual privacy. They actually have their privacy, but at the same time, there were people to talk to, socialize, smoke, the whole thing, And so they were there for a couple of months, and one weekend after this weekend passed, they hit up my cousin. They said, "Hey, we wonder if you can help us out. We don't want to ruin where we're at. We don't want to come off the wrong way. How do you suggest we go about this? How we approach this?" And my cousin says, "Well, what are you guys talking about?" She goes, "Well, this weekend, we're home in the living room, and this maintenance guy walks in, doesn't even say hi or anything, walks through the living room, goes to the kitchen, works trying to do something with the plumbing in the actual sink, then gets up and walks out the back door to the kitchen." And so my cousin was like, "Well, first of all, our friend doesn't have actual maintenance guys." And so she asked, "Well, can you describe him to me?" And they actually described my friend's dad. They even described his favorite fishing hat, the body type, the age, the features was my actual friend's dad. That actually what they saw. And so my cousin tells him, he goes, "You described his dad, but his dad's been dead for a few years. These females have never seen a picture of his dad. They didn't have know nothing about they don't know anything about his actual dad because he's been dead for a couple of years. So they're new to the neighborhood, but yet they describe the pops. There it is. I mean, I don't know how you can actually debate that or another actual reasonable explanation, but that's how it went down. Okay, guys, happy Halloween.